Ranger Olivia Stein had always been an admirer of stark landscapes. The high desert, with its rugged boulders and peculiar Joshua trees standing sentry, fascinated her from an early age. She felt drawn to their twisted shapes outlined against the endless sky. When she first began working at Joshua Tree National Park, she'd believed she knew all its secrets. The hidden canyons, the best spots to catch the Milky Way, the silent expanses where the hush was so complete you could hear your own heartbeat. But as winter arrived and the park's night took on a peculiar chill, rumors drifted in from a few local residents and off-season campers, rumors of strange lights floating above the desert floor, of orbs that gleamed like distant lanterns, then vanished without a trace. At first, she brushed them aside as illusions or trickery headlights from a highway reflecting on sand, or possibly nocturnal hikers' flashlights. Over time, though, the stories piled up. She found them impossible to ignore. It was near the end of a long evening patrol, one of those nights when the temperature dropped rapidly after sunset. Her official responsibilities included checking the roads for lost tourists, verifying campgrounds for stragglers, and ensuring no one tried to sneak into restricted areas. The park was almost empty this late in the year. The famed starry sky above offered a breathtaking canopy of light. She'd just hopped out of her ranger truck to stretch her legs near the Hidden Valley campsite. That was when she saw them. 3 faint, flickering orbs of greenish-white glow hovering just above the desert floor, miles off in the distance. At first, she assumed they might be campfires or maybe someone's headlamps, but they were too bright for flashlights and too sharply defined for the fuzzy glow of a distant fire. Also, they were at least a foot off the ground, bobbing gently, each about the size of a basketball from her vantage. Her radio hissed with static. She fiddled with the dial. Ranger Stein to base, come in. No reply. Only faint crackling. She tried again. Same result. Sighing, she hopped back in the truck, started the engine, and decided to investigate. She had no idea that single decision would spiral into a nightmare realm beyond her understanding. Before diving into the search, Olivia swung by a small diner near the park boundary, a place where locals occasionally gathered. She wanted to confirm if anyone else had seen these lights tonight. The fluorescent bulbs inside hummed as she stepped in. A few ranchers sipped coffee. A TV in the corner displayed muted news. Over the smell of sizzling bacon, an older man in a wide-brimmed hat locked eyes with her. He was Sam Rowan, a long-time resident. She asked if he'd seen any strange lights in the desert. He gave a slow, concerned nod. "You been seeing 'em too?" he asked, voice rough from decades of desert dryness. She explained about the orbs, how they hovered off in the distance. Another local, a woman named Carmen, chimed in from a corner booth. "They come every few months, especially in winter. Always vanish when you get close. Best not to chase 'em," she warned, stirring her coffee. Sam agreed. "I've heard stories of folks who tried following those lights. Woke up hours later, miles from their trucks, can't recall a thing. They say it's just illusions or some phenomenon, but I say it's more. Some old desert spirit or maybe worse." She tried to brush off the superstitious tone, but their earnestness unsettled her. "We have desert wildlife, illusions caused by temperature inversions. Lots of natural explanations," Olivia insisted. Carmen shrugged. "Sure, that's what the rangers always say. But you be careful, dear." Leaving the diner, Olivia felt a knot of unease. The local accounts mirrored the rumors she'd heard. She told herself she was a professional. She wouldn't let ghost stories rattle her. She climbed back into her truck, determined to trust her training. Another quick check of her radio still static. She grit her teeth. "Fine, I'll handle this alone." The road leading deeper into Joshua Tree at night was silent. No headlights, no passing cars. The iconic silhouettes of Joshua trees lined the horizon, arms stretching upward in contorted shapes. She drove slowly, scanning the desert for the faint glow of those lights. Hours slid by with no sign. She was about to head back, chalking up the earlier sighting to exhaustion, when a flicker caught her eye near the White Tank region, an area known for bizarre rock formations. She pulled over and turned off her truck headlights, letting her eyes adjust to the darkness. There they were, off to the north. 2 glowing orbs this time, pale and shifting in color between white and a faint greenish hue. They hovered, swaying slightly as if beckoning, her gut twisted with a mixture of curiosity and caution. She remembered Sam and Carmen's warnings, but she was a ranger responsible for investigating unusual occurrences. She slid out, grabbed her flashlight, ensured her sidearm was in place. "No point calling for backup," she murmured, tapping the useless radio. She set off on foot, boots crunching on sandy soil. The desert's chill stung her cheeks. She kept her flashlight beam low, scanning for holes or uneven ground. As she approached, the lights receded, drifting deeper among the boulders. It was almost playful, like they wanted her to follow. Her heart pounded, but curiosity won out. She navigated around tall Monza granite formations, the moon overhead casting elongated shadows. The lights glowed, sometimes flickering in unison, sometimes separating. Each time she'd get within what seemed a few hundred yards, they'd slip behind a ridge or vanish momentarily. She pressed on, losing track of time. Suddenly a faint wind gust carried a whisper of static through her radio. She paused, lifting the device. "Base, do you copy?" Silence, then a crackle, then something that might have been a voice, too garbled to discern. Then nothing. A spike of unease pricked her. She recalled Carmen's warning. With a deep breath, she pressed on. An hour in, she found herself in a maze of boulders. The desert floor was strewn with stones, and the shapes of twisted Joshua trees towered overhead. The orbs flickered about 50 yards away. She carefully moved closer, mindful of not twisting an ankle. The gloom pressed in, the star-filled sky partially hidden by rock spires. Suddenly, the lights scattered in different directions, leaving one orb behind, flickering precariously on the other side of a large cluster of rocks. "Hey!" she called. She wasn't sure who or what she was addressing. Maybe someone with a weird contraption. That's when she heard it, footsteps or a scraping shuffle. Behind her, she spun, flashlight sweeping the area, nothing but ragged boulders. Yet she felt a presence. She stayed still, straining her ears. The hush was absolute. Then from her radio came a burst of static. A hiss, a pop, then a whisper. "Turn around." Her blood chilled. She whipped around, scanning the darkness. No sign of a person. She pressed the talk button. "Who's there?" Only static replied. She braced herself, checking behind the boulder where the single orb had lingered, but it was gone. She realized, heart pounding, that she was alone in the middle of nowhere, with no sure route back. Steeling her nerves, she decided to retreat. The wind had picked up. She realized she'd ventured far from her truck. The geology around her felt unfamiliar, as if the land had shifted in the dark. She fumbled for her GPS device, cursing as it flickered, struggling to get a signal. The device's screen glitched, showing random coordinates. "Damn it!" A flicker of light reappeared this time behind her. She turned to see two orbs again, hovering in a gentle arc. She recognized them from earlier, but now they were much closer, less than 100 feet away. She swallowed, shining her flashlight at them. The beams did nothing to illuminate what they were. They seemed intangible, almost plasmic. Her radio crackled once more. This time, the voice was different, an echoing tone, inhuman. "You came too far." She froze. "Who is messing with me?" The desert offered no answers. With a shaky breath, she pivoted, determined to find her truck. She walked quickly, fighting the urge to sprint. The orbs followed, bobbing behind at an even pace, like watchers. The terrain was disorienting. Every rock formation looked the same under the faint starlight. She tried to navigate by memory, but the sprawl of boulders seemed endless. The orbs flickered in her periphery. Occasionally, she'd look back, and they'd vanish. She'd turn forward, then see a glint of light from the corner of her eye again. Her breath grew labored. She forced calm, scanning the horizon for any sign of the road or the truck's headlights. Nothing. The silhouette of distant mountains told her the direction of the main highway, but the twisting canyons forced detours. She found a wash that might lead out, but the orbs floated overhead as if guiding her, or corralling her. In a wide clearing amid towering rocks, the lights suddenly zipped around, swirling in a pattern. She watched, startled as more lights joined 6 or 7 orbs forming a ring around her. They glowed in unison, creating a surreal, ghostly circle. Panic rose in her chest. She reached for her gun, uncertain if bullets could do anything against luminous spheres. The circle tightened. The orbs flickered more rapidly. She felt a tingling in the air like static electricity raising the hair on her arms. Her radio spat a burst of noise. Then, from every direction, the same whispered phrase, "Turn around, turn around, turn around." She spun, disoriented, trying to see who or what was speaking. The orbs grew unbearably bright. She squinted. Her mind shouted, "Run!" but her body felt paralyzed. The brilliance reached a crescendo, an intense white that seared her vision. She threw up her arms to shield her face. A thunderous silence engulfed everything. The last thing she remembered was the sensation of weightlessness, of being lifted or spun. Then darkness swallowed her consciousness. When Olivia came to, the dawn light was creeping over the horizon. She was lying on cold desert sand, her uniform caked with dust, mouth dry. A mild headache throbbed behind her eyes. She blinked blearily, body aching. She sat up, wincing. The landscape was different, flatter, with fewer boulders, and the characteristic outline of Joshua trees more spaced out. She recognized nothing from the area where she'd lost consciousness. How? Her radio was quiet now, no sign of static. She tested it. Ranger Stein calling base. Do you copy? A few seconds of crackle, then a voice. Olivia, where the hell are you? We've been searching all night. She sighed in relief, pressing the transmit button. I'm okay, listen, I'm not sure where. My GPS is out. But from the sun's position, I guess I'm east of White Tank. I lost track. She faltered. I can't just say I followed floating lights and blacked out. Her boss's voice was urgent. Stay put. We'll triangulate from your radio signal. She sat back, scanning for footprints or tire tracks. She found none, as if she simply materialized there. The memory of the orbs encircling her returned in a flash. She shuddered. The park staff arrived within an hour, picking her up in a 4x4. They asked what happened. She offered a vague explanation about chasing suspicious lights, losing consciousness, waking miles away. Their concerned faces said enough. They took her for a medical check. Apart from mild dehydration and exhaustion, she seemed fine physically. But psychologically, she was rattled. She admitted fragments, seeing lights, hearing voices on the radio. No one ridiculed her. After all, Joshua Tree had its share of odd stories. But the strangeness of her abrupt displacement unsettled them all. Over the following days, Olivia insisted on investigating further. She scoured the desert near White Tank, searching for evidence, scorch marks, footprints, anything. Despite hours of searching, she found nothing except standard desert terrain. A few nighttime checks yielded no new sightings. It was as if the lights had vanished. She felt adrift. Had she imagined it? Concussed from a fall. But the memory of that ring of orbs was too vivid, too terrifying. She also recalled the diner's warning, the hush in Sam's voice. Don't follow him. She had done exactly that and blacked out. The correlation was undeniable. One evening, a fellow ranger, Marcus, approached her privately. He confided he'd once seen similar lights years ago, but they were faint, ephemeral. He never told anyone for fear of ridicule. But what you described, that's more extreme, he admitted. I don't know what to say. This desert can be weird. People vanish. Sights appear. Local legends run deep. She nodded, grateful for some solidarity. At least I'm not crazy. Restless nights plagued her. On the 7th day after her strange displacement, the lights reappeared. This time, multiple visitors reported them swirling near Skull Rock, a popular formation. The calls came in around 10 p.m. Olivia, determined not to let fear control her, volunteered to check it out, but with backup this time. She and Ranger Marcus drove out in separate vehicles. As they approached the area, the night sky revealed a subtle dancing glow in the distance. Once at the parking lot, they proceeded on foot, flashlights scanning the gloom. The orbs, 3 of them, hovered near the massive boulders shaped like a skull. "Looks like them," Marcus muttered, voice tight. They advanced carefully. The orbs drifted backward as if inviting pursuit, but Olivia recalled the last time. She signaled Marcus to keep a safe distance. Her radio hissed, "Ranger Stein, come alone." The voice was hollow, neither male nor female. She froze, glancing at Marcus. He'd heard it too, judging by his wide eyes. They tried to respond, but the radio crackled into static. The lights began to swirl around Skull Rock, forming an odd pattern. She felt a strong compulsion to follow, yet she forced herself to remain rooted. "No," she whispered. "I'm not playing that game again." To their surprise, the orbs bobbed for a moment, then shot upward in a streak, disappearing among the stars. Marcus exhaled loudly, tension draining. "They're gone?" She wasn't sure, but for now, yes. She felt relief, but also an odd disappointment, like they'd tested her, found her less curious, and left. In the days following, the orb sightings subsided. Some staff believed the phenomenon ended, others expected it to return. Meanwhile, Olivia tried to re-establish normalcy. She resumed daily patrols, visitor interactions, and behind-the-scenes tasks. The desert winter pressed on, nights cold and crisp. Then, one night, she was alone in the small on-site ranger station, finishing paperwork. The station's radio had a direct line to dispatch. The wind outside keened across the desert floor. The fluorescent lights hummed. Suddenly, her station radio crackled. A soft voice, the same hollow tone. "Ranger Stein, come outside." Her heart skipped. She looked at the radio mic. She hadn't touched it, yet it was transmitting from somewhere else. Possibly a repeater. She clenched her fists. I should ignore it. But something in the voice drew her. The voice repeated, "We need you," laced with static. She stood, glancing out the station window. The vast darkness concealed everything. Flicking off the interior light to see better, she peered out. No immediate orbs. Should she step out? Fear warred with duty. She armed herself with her flashlight and carefully unlatched the door. The cold air rushed in. The compound's floodlight illuminated a short radius around the station. Beyond that, pitch-black desert. She called, "Hello?" No response, just the wind. She took a few steps, each crunch echoing. An electric jolt of fear made her spin. There, behind a Joshua tree maybe 20 yards away, hovered a single orb. It glowed faintly, pulsing. The radio on her hip buzzed with incomprehensible whispers. Slowly the orb drifted away, as if leading her beyond the station fence. She felt a surge of defiance. No more chasing illusions. She turned to go back inside. The orb flashed brightly, once, like a signal. Then it moved behind the Joshua tree. Olivia heard a distant rumble overhead. Thunder? Yet the sky was clear. The radio cackled with a final phrase. "This is your last chance." The voice was flat, echoing. Then the orb winked out. Shaken, she retreated, locked the door, and forced herself not to respond. Something was trying to lure her out again, but she refused to become a victim of curiosity. Over the next hours, she half expected an ambush, but the rest of the night remained quiet. Exhausted, she dozed on a cot in the back room. Dreams of flickering lights and swirling desert storms haunted her. Dawn found the ranger station intact. Olivia stepped outside, scanning for footprints or signs of infiltration. Nothing. She felt a mild relief. Maybe it's truly over. She'd think that repeatedly, only for the phenomenon to resurface. She decided to consult a local desert researcher, Dr. Morrison, who studied atmospheric anomalies. Perhaps there was a scientific explanation: ball lightning, plasma, or geomagnetic fields. Dr. Morrison listened politely but found the accounts too sporadic for a neat theory. Ball lightning is rare, typically short-lived. And you mentioned orbs that display intelligence or purpose. That's unusual, he admitted. He speculated about illusions from temperature inversions or ephemeral reflections, but none explained her blackout experience. Olivia left unsatisfied, yet she appreciated the attempt at rational analysis. If science couldn't fully account for it, was she dealing with something outside normal reality? Weeks passed with little sign of the orbs. The quieter days let visitors enjoy winter hiking and stargazing again. In subdued relief, park rangers hoped the bizarre phenomenon had ceased. Olivia tried to move on, though the memory of that missing time lingered like a bruise on her psyche. But the calm was shattered one crisp January night, when an emergency call crackled from the outskirts of the park. A frantic voice. "Help! Strange lights! My friend's gone. We saw them over the ridge. He went to see. Then he disappeared. Please hurry." Then the line went dead. Every ranger on duty mobilized, including Olivia. They arrived near the reported location, a rocky pass seldom visited. The search teams found a terrified hiker cowering behind a boulder. He babbled about bright orbs that surrounded his friend, then vanished. No trace of the friend. As rescue efforts continued, Olivia's radio beeped with a direct channel message. She recognized the hollow tone. "Ranger Stein, come alone. Your path ends tonight." Her blood froze. Why single her out? She relayed it to her boss, who frowned, urging caution. But with a missing person in danger, she couldn't ignore it. She parted from the main group, heading up a steep wash, guided by occasional flickers of light. Night engulfed the desert. The other rangers stayed in contact, but Olivia advanced alone, radio in one hand, flashlight in the other. The ground sloped upward among giant boulders. She glimpsed a glow ahead. The hiss of static returned. "Closer," the voice said, an eerie command. She soon entered a wide clearing. The moonlight revealed scattered stones, and in the center, an impossible sight, a cluster of orbs swirling in a graceful dance. Their brightness cast shifting shadows on the ground, and kneeling among them, disoriented, was the missing hiker. He stared blankly, as if hypnotized. She called his name. No reaction. Her radio screeched. Then the orbs parted, revealing a tall silhouette behind them. A wave of dread clenched her stomach. The figure stepped forward into the orb's glow, half shrouded in luminous haze. She couldn't see its face clearly, only a suggestion of height, slenderness. Another wave of static overcame the radio. The figure raised an arm, pointing at her. The orbs flared brighter. The missing hiker stood abruptly, turning to face her, eyes glazed. He opened his mouth to speak, but only a ghostly whisper emerged. "Stay. Away," Olivia called to him gently. The figure behind him advanced. She glimpsed a flicker of features shifting across its head, as if it tried to form a face but failed. The orbs spun faster, an electric hum building. She felt a swirling force in the air. "This is the same phenomenon that took me last time." Torn between rescuing the hiker and self-preservation, she inched forward. "Let him go," she shouted. The figure responded with a silent, menacing stare, though it had no real eyes. The orbs coalesced into a ring around them. The hiker stumbled, seemed to cry out wordlessly, then collapsed. She rushed to him, ignoring the ring's glare. The moment she touched his shoulder, a shock of energy crackled. She screamed, yanking her hand back. The figure let out a low, resonant sound that vibrated in her bones. She realized the orbs were responding to it, pulsing in sync. The ring closed in. She reflexively pulled the dazed hiker away, dragging him from the ring's center. The air felt thick, like wading through invisible currents. Suddenly the orbs flung outward, forming a wide circle around them. The figure's outline blurred in a luminous swirl. A tidal wave of light threatened to envelop them. She shielded her eyes. No, not again. Summoning courage, she aimed her flashlight, cranked to max lumens, and shone it at the swirling vortex. The vortex hesitated. For an instant she sensed the entity recoil. She seized the hiker's arm and sprinted out of the circle's gap. The orbs flared behind them, swirling in disarray. She half expected to vanish or black out, but adrenaline propelled her. She crashed behind a boulder with the hiker in tow. The swirl of lights overhead roared with some unknown energy, then abruptly dimmed. When she dared peek out, the orbs were gone, the figure nowhere to be seen. The hiker was alive, though semi-conscious. She radioed for medics. This time, the device worked. Lightheaded, she let rescue folks guide them back to safety. She glimpsed no more lights that night, but the memory of the swirling ring and that towering silhouette burned in her mind. In the aftermath, the hiker recovered physically, yet recalled little, just glimpses of orbs and paralyzing fear. The park's official statement cited a freak electrical phenomenon. Olivia, mentally and physically drained, gave her superiors a thorough report. The orb's power, the entity's presence, the rescue. She was hailed a hero for saving the missing hiker, but she felt no triumph. They still lacked any explanation or permanent solution. Park management quietly restricted nighttime access, citing environmental concerns. They installed more cameras, though it seemed futile. Rumors blossomed about alien lights, ghost orbs, or dimensional portals. Olivia, however, suspected something more elusive and ancient. The desert had many secrets. Her supervisors offered a transfer to a safer national park, seeing her growing stress. She declined for now. She felt compelled to protect the place she loved, even from a threat beyond her comprehension. She patrolled in daylight, never alone at night, carrying the memory of that swirling ring and the entity that commanded it. The missing hiker eventually left the area, unwilling to speak further. Locals whispered that the phenomenon might reappear come next winter or the next cosmic alignment. Sam, the old diner regular, told Olivia, "Deserts are full of spirits, some older than we can imagine. You got lucky. Next time, who knows?" She nodded warily. She'd abide by his earlier warning, don't follow the lights. If they came again, she'd keep her distance. She'd warn others, and she'd hope the desert would remain still and silent. But a piece of her knew that once the orbs marked you, they might never truly let you go. Months later, the desert night is calm under a canopy of infinite stars. A solitary ranger truck rumbles along a dirt road, headlights sweeping across the whimsical shapes of Joshua trees. Olivia, behind the wheel, glances at the horizon. The memories no longer dominate her every thought, but the slightest flicker of unusual light sends a spike of adrenaline through her. For now, all is peaceful. The hush of the desert envelops everything. She stops to breathe in the crisp air, a faint perfume of creosote bush. The swirling nightmares of orbs and vanishing lights feel distant. She can almost believe it was a dream. Then she notices a subtle glow on the far side of a valley. It's faint, easily mistaken for a reflection. She stares, heart rate climbing. The glow flickers once, twice, then is gone. She exhales in shaky relief. Possibly just a trick of starlight or an airplane far away. Smiling wryly at herself, she continues on. But as her truck recedes into the desert's darkness, a single orb reappears, floating in silence behind a distant rock outcrop. It watches, flickers, then it too vanishes. Somewhere in the deep hush of Joshua Tree, that presence remains, waiting for the next spark of curiosity to draw travelers off the beaten path. And so the vanishing lights endure unexplained, beautiful, and terrifying, existing at the threshold between reality and the unknown. For those who see them, be warned. Follow them at your peril, lest you wake miles away at dawn, missing hours of your life and haunted by the memory of that whispered voice. Turn around.